Okay, so here is version 2 of the practice EST. Now, this looks very similar. Some parts might be similar or the same. Please still do this worksheet, review this video, pause the video throughout and try the problems on your own first so that you can see how you're doing with the concepts. And the more you study, the more you practice, the better you will do on your actual EST. So this is version 2 of the practice. Again, first we must label if the association is positive, negative, or has no association. So in this case here, if I were to draw a line of best fit, you can see that this creates a positive slope. So this is my positive association. And here, if I were to draw a line of best fit, this creates a negative slope. And again, those lines of best fits are not perfect. I'm doing this relatively quickly. You should have seen this done in version 1 of the EST practice as well. Here, I can't really draw like one line of best fit through all of my data, right? It's not really possible there. So this one would be no association. Okay. Now for part A, we have to determine the association between the outdoor temperature and the number of people wearing shorts. The other one was the number of people wearing jackets. So normally whenever we wear shorts, that means it's warmer outside. So if we're looking at an XY axis here, the temperature would be down on the x-axis and the number of people wearing shorts is on the y-axis. So as the temperature gets hotter, what happens to the number of people wearing shorts? As the temperature gets warmer outside, what happens there? Well, as the temperature gets warmer, I would say more people are wearing shorts. And as the temperature gets colder, less people are wearing shorts. So this is a positive association. Okay. So now we have the scenario where we're talking about two quantities about the hours playing video games and his or her grades. So basically, how many hours you play video games and how well your grades are. The more time you spend on video games, the less time you spend on homework and on studying for tests. So let's think about this in an XY grid here. So let's say video games is on the bottom and your grades are dependent on how many hours you play video games. So somebody who plays very few video games, like in this area here, they probably spend more time doing their homework. Let's just assume it's a choice between video games or homework, right? I'm sure some of you might have other hobbies, like mine is crafting, right? I craft, I make things. That's what I would do besides doing homework. But let's assume your two choices were video games or studying and doing your homework. The less video games you play, the higher your grades are. The more games you play, the lower your grades are. So this would create a trend that is negative. So this trend is negative. Okay. Now here's part C, the hours spent hiking and water left in your water bottle. So we want to assume that as you spend more hours hiking, if you've never been on a hike, you are going to get hot, you will get dehydrated, you will want to drink all of the water that you have, right? So the hours hiking, and the amount of water. Sorry, I see that this graph is definitely crooked. Let's see if I can draw a straighter. Yeah, it's a little bit better. So whenever you first start hiking, you're going to have a full water bottle. So that's where your data is going to be up there. You're going to have a high amount of water in your water bottle whenever you first start hiking. But as you go along your hike this way, you are going to start to drink that water because you're going to get thirsty, you're going to get tired, and you're going to have to drink that water. So you see here, this is again a negative association. The more you hike, the less water you have. Okay? So now it says here the hours spent studying and your test scores. This one is very relevant to your lives, right? So the hours spent studying and your test scores. So I'm just going to write scores actually. I have very little space here. I wish I would have provided you with more room. You can always draw them over here too. So the scores and the hours spent studying. So the more hours you spend studying, what will happen to your scores? What can we assume would happen? Your scores would probably be higher, right? If you spend like 30-minute session studying, your score might be relatively low if you don't spend much time studying. But as you spend more time studying, hopefully your test score would go up. So this should be a positive association. Okay? All right, so now here it says the amount of time you spend on your phone and your battery percentage. So let's look here again. Let's draw an XY axis. Now the battery percentage would depend on the amount of time spent on your phone. So I'll put time here for time spent on your phone and percentage here for your battery percentage. So the more time you spend on your phone, the less battery percentage there is, right? Because the more time you spend on your phone, the more your battery is going to die on your phone. So we'll go ahead and put this down here. More time, less battery. Less time, more battery percentage, right? So this one, if we were to draw a line at best fit, this is a negative trend. The more time you spend on your phone, the less amount of battery you have. Did you just see how much I struggled with writing negative? Negative. Excuse me. Dang it, I'm gonna have to edit that out. Okay, excuse me. All right, so the amount of money you have and the food you can buy. The amount of money you have and the food you can buy. So let's see here. The amount of food you can buy really depends on how much money you have, right? So food is dependent on money. So the less money you have, the less food you have. The more money you have, the more food you have, right? Which is actually a really sad thing. So this is kind of about poverty. People who are not as healthy, who might not be able to afford healthier foods, this is a trend that would represent their life. Less money, less food. Okay? So this one would be a positive trend. The more money they have, the more food they can buy. Okay? I forgot about this one. Oh my gosh, this is the second year I've forgotten to take it out. Um, my fifth period, we had this joke. It was my first year teaching, and wow, they were very, very hyper and all had very, very strong opinions, and my patience level would tank during fifth period. This is so funny. Maybe you don't find it funny, but oh my gosh, I'm trying so hard not to just laugh. So the more students I have in that, or that I had in that class, I don't even have a fifth period this year. This was my first year teaching. In my fifth period class, the less my patience is because there's more of them who have more opinions and who argue with each other about the silliest things. And I'm like, okay, guys, it's almost lunch. Okay, let's calm down. But the more students I had, the lower my patience was. The less students who were there that day, the higher my patience was because it didn't run out so fast. So this year was a negative trend. I'm sorry, this is, oh my gosh, good memories. The more students I have, the less patience I had in that fifth period class. So this is a negative trend. I hope that makes sense. There we go. Okay, that's, I might have to pause the video so I stop laughing. I'm remembering specific students who made up that problem for me. So, okay, so here it says find the slope, y-intercept, and write the equation of a line. Okay, you guys know the first thing I like to find is the y-intercept. It's where we cross the y-axis. So here I cross the y-axis at 2. So my y-intercept is 2. You can also write it as a point 0, comma 2. That would work as well. But now for the slope, we know slope is equal to rise over run. So I have to draw slope triangles. I really only need one. So I want to look along this line okay? And right here, I see a lattice point. So a lattice point is where it crosses your graph perfectly, okay? So it crosses right here, and right here, and right here, but we really only need two, okay? So here, I'll just use the y-intercept and this first lattice point I made. So this here is my rise, and this is my run, okay? My rise, I'm going down 3 and to the right 1. That is my run. So since I'm going down 3, I'm going to do -3, and I'm going to the right 1, so it's just going to be a +1. -3 divided by 1 is -3. So now your equation is always y equals mx plus b. Well, your y-intercept is the plus b. That's the y-intercept. Your slope is the m of this equation. So this is called the slope-intercept form because it clearly states your slope here, -3, and it clearly states your y-intercept, which in this case is +2. Okay, so that would be the final answer for this problem. So again, please make sure that you pause, try the problem on your own, and go from there. Okay? All right. Using the graph and trend line below, predict the average number of emails per day if their age is 36 years old. So that's this first problem here. If a person is 36 years old, they will get about blank emails per day. Well, okay, I gotta find where somebody is 36 years old. Right here is the age, 36 is here, and my line of prediction is right there, okay? So from this line, I'm going to go straight across. What would you estimate this number to be? We see here it's going by 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and so on. I would say that's around like 18 or 19. So I mean 18 or 19 emails per day I would mark as correct because this is a prediction, right? It says predict. So you have to use your best estimated guess there. All right, so now it says, now predict the age of someone who gets an average of 30 emails a day. So I know they get 30 emails a day. So I'm going to find my average emails per day, circle the 30 and go across. And then I'm just going to touch my line and I'm going to go straight down. So it's a little bit less than the 12, and these are actually going by 12 every time. So I'm going to predict that a person who gets about 30 emails per day is roughly 11 years old. And I bet especially in this distance learning, students are getting more emails than ever before because their teachers are posting their assignments on Google Classroom, sending them emails about their grades, tutoring, etc. So this would be the best predictions possible for this problem. Right, so I believe this is our last problem for the practice before you do the EST. So again, we have our slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope, b is the y-intercept. And that's what I like finding first. So right here, my y-intercept where I cross the y-axis is 4. And again, you can always write it as the 0, 4, but what goes here is +4 in my equation. Now this one's really nice. They give you the other lattice point you can use. So if we go down and to the right to create that slope triangle, now we can determine the rise over run of slope. Our rise, we go down 2 and to the right 5. So we go down 2 and to the right 5, and I count the jumps, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. That's how I got 2 and 5. So my rise was down 2 and my run was over 5. And you can see our line is going down, so it makes sense that I have a negative there. Now this you could simplify, you would get -0.4. But you can also just leave it as a fraction, and that is totally fine. So here, my slope is -2/5. So my entire equation is y equals -2/5 x plus 4. Okay. Oops, a little bit smaller. So this is your final equation here, right? Y equals -2/5 x plus 4. So again, make sure that you have done some of these problems on your own so you can actually be more prepared for your EST. So once you're done with this, make sure that you fill out this week's progress monitoring form, 3-8 through 3-12. You had, I believe, 2 Khan Academies during our first class in the week, one version 1 video of this practice I posted on Tuesday night, and then you have this version 2 video of the practice that I posted today. So make sure you go and write your summary and your reflection on each of these assignments for this week. And then you may do your essential skills test. I hope you all have a great weekend. Get your homework done, any makeup work you have, and email me once you're done.